Well, thanks to Ario, he reminded me we should record these meetings. Thank you, Ario. So before we started recording, we were talking about um, uh, an existing three-bedroom bungalow that Armin and Ario bought in January 2024 at 692 Crystal Street in Ottawa. It's an existing three-bedroom bungalow, three bedrooms at the main level, and unfinished basement. And we'll talk about what we're proposing, what they're proposing to do with it. But before we got going, we were thinking about what we might call this, rather than just calling it 692 Crystal Street, might give the new building or group of buildings a name. And because it's Crystal, I think Armin or Ario, one of the two boys, said we should name it after a crystal. So we looked at a number of different crystal names, and they were all terrible, really. But I kind of liked agate. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but Agate. So we're thinking maybe that the name of this building, when it's finished, could be Gatehouse, possibly. And just to show for the record, agate, can you, I'll share my screen, hang on a sec, is an actual beautiful stone. So here it is here. Maybe we call it Gatehouse, based on agate stone, and it's quite a beautiful crystal or stone. Then the other possibility is because it's next to some electrical lines. Armin chirped in and said maybe we call it something like piezoelectric or something along those lines. I have no idea. All right. Anyway, for now, it's a placeholder name. So that's what we were talking about before we started recording. And then we're just getting into the ROI. But we want to see if this proposed project, and Chris Jelcozy, who's an architectural technologist and a great planner, is involved. Want to see if it makes sense. So we're booting up, building a spreadsheet. So now I'm going to show you the spreadsheet, and then we'll just get on with our meeting. Okay, so we're caught up now, I think, Ario. So this is 692 Crystal Street, Ottawa, the ROI. It's an existing bungalow, as I said a moment ago, 3 bedrooms on the main level, basement is unfinished. And the proposed deal, we were just getting into that. The proposed deal, I think, is back-to-back semis, which will mean it'll have 2 apartments above grade. I think that's right. And 1 apartment below. Did I spell it right? No. Apartment below grade. And in fact, it'll be back to back, so that'll be repeated in the front. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. So our total yield, I'll share the spreadsheet obviously with you guys when we finish. Total yield will be 4 apartments above grade and 2 below. Does that make any sense?
Yep.
Equals that, and the total apartments is then. And you notice how I link all the cells? You notice how all these cells are linked?
Yeah.
All right. So if we change the design, we change any of these numbers, this will change, and you'll see how everything does change, etc. So Chris, right now, you hired him as a planner as well as an architectural technologist, right?
Yeah.
All right. So he's going to be doing some planning. And he's going to be working as an architect. He's not an architect, but he can do a building up to 6 units, no problem. He probably can do a building that's bigger than that, but he just have to get an architect to stamp it. Come on, Bruce. Architectural technologies. I think I spelled it right. All right. Has he given you an estimate for his planning work?
He has given us an estimate, yeah, and we're almost at the last stage here. Ario, do you know what the last stage is or what the total was?
Uh,
Ario does our book, so you should know.
Oh, that's good.
I'll try to find it here. He charged us around $2,000, I believe, for the plans, if I'm not mistaken.
For the concept, right?
Yes, for the concept, and also I believe $3,000 for the draftsman to finish everything off with the plans for ready for building permit.
All right, so I'm just gonna put down here $5,000 for that, and these are just placeholder numbers. Okay, I mean, you guys, I mean, given that Ario does your books, he can review this, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so let's say Chris does some of the planning and some of the architecture work with his drafts person. That's good news. All right. All right, let's talk about the floor plate. If I look at this, I think each floor plate is 960 square feet. That's what the concept plan says.
Yeah.
Okay. And the total floor area is equal to 960 times, you got 2 above grade and another 2 above grade bracket here. So we've got square feet, that's above grade. And do you know why I separate it from above grade and below grade?
I guess the rental amounts are different.
The rental amounts are different, but also the cost to construct is different. Like, for example, if you think about a basement apartment, you have to put a footing and foundation in anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to put a first floor or second floor. In theory, you could just have a foundation. You could have just basement apartments. But once you put the footing and foundation in for your 2 floors above, basically you get a quote unquote free apartment.
Right.
The cost of constructing the apartment is much less than the cost of constructing floors 1 and 2. All right.
Okay.
So I'll go, not total floor area, just floor area. Floor area below grade is equal to 960 times bracket, oops, length of this plus this, right? I don't know if I got that right. Yeah, I think I did. So we've got 4 apartments, so almost 4,000 square feet, and 2 below about 2,000. Yeah, that looks right. So total floor area. And once you've done one of these guys, you should be able to do these yourselves, right? I mean, can you just use this as a model? I mean, I've done lots of them. All right. So that's our building right now. Okay. So let's just look at some more costs. You guys know what development charges are, right?
Sorry,
You know
development.
what development charges are.
Yeah, from the
Right.
city. Yeah.
It's not building permit. That's different, right? Building permit is kind of cheap. Development charges are really expensive. And I'm just gonna put a number in here. It might not be exactly right. Chris can check it for you. It's about 30,000 per door. It might be a little less for apartments, but it's expensive. You can find that online, but you guys can flesh this out and with more detail. I just want to construct a spreadsheet that you can use as a model, okay?
Okay.
And it will, at the end of the day, it will be hopefully right within, 5 or 10%. All right, so you've got a total of 6 doors. I think I got that right. Times 30,000 per door, right? So development, and you don't pay that until you actually pick up your building permit.
Mhm.
All right, and then your construction costs. What do you think it'll be per square foot?
We're estimating 230 per
Okay.
square foot.
I'll put in 250. Everything that can go wrong will.
Mm.
Okay. Now, this is for the above grade space. So 250 times the above grade area. Okay. That is equal to the above grade area. And then your construction costs for below grade, I'm going to put it in at 50%. That's kind of arbitrary, but I suspect it will be in that range. It might be a little less, but that's okay. All right, equals 125 times below grade space. All right. Now let's just see. We've got architecture above. We probably should put some rows in here. You're going to need some engineering. You'll need structural, right? You'll need servicing. What else will you need? Some structural servicing. Geotech. That's soils, right? Making sure you understand, etc. And that can be quite expensive. It wouldn't surprise me. You'll need your HVAC guys. You know what that stands for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Did you have a budget for engineering?
No, not really, to be honest with you, but I put in, I didn't know we had to do geotech.
Well, yeah, you got to make sure that you're not building, your foundation has to. I had a client who bought a very inexpensive lot and then found out that he had about 30 feet of marsh underneath him. So he had to excavate, I think he excavated 20 feet, 6
Yeah.
meters of it. And he had put in engineered fill, compacted gravel, basically, 20 feet of it. And then he had to build a foundation that was like a raft so he could float his house because it was very unsteady. So you do have to know what your soil conditions are like.
Okay.
It's
Is it-
very different if you're building on rock versus clay. And if you're building on what was an old marsh, you could have, like he did, you could have, his foundation was ridiculously expensive. So you do need that. All right. So I don't know. We'll just put that in there for engineers. All right.
At what stage do we need to get this geotech? Can we do it now, or do we have to wait for Chris to finish his plans?
Oh, I would put my team together, but only once you feel comfortable that the project makes sense,
Okay.
right? So I'm just going to move this down here. All right. So let's go back here. Move that up here. All right. So we've got construction costs. We'll put in a subtotal here. And I'll put a subtotal here as well. So if you could have these are called soft costs. If you could have soft costs of $25,000, that would be really good. That would be really good. If you can bring it in for that price, that would be great. And your construction costs, yeah, maybe you don't want to see that, but it's probably going to be in that range. Okay. Then what we'll do is we'll put in financing. How are you planning to finance it?
We have the funds to build it ourselves.
But what I'm going to do is whether you put the funds in yourself or you borrow the money, you should charge this project financing fees even if you have the money to put in.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah. Yeah, I see.
Okay. So I'm going to put in construction financing. And knowing you guys, you'll probably get it at around 10%. It's not cheap. You might get a little less than that, but whatever. We'll put it in at 10%. And how long would it take to build something like this, in your opinion?
Well, given that we can directly go to building permit once we have all the engineering studies done, I think a year, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm gonna put in 14 months. You probably could do it faster than that, but everything goes wrong. All right. Now, you only need, I'll just move this over. You only need the construction financing for 1.2 million for about half of the time, because when you start, you don't really need any money, and then when you finish, you need it all, right? So over 14 months, it'll average about 50%. So your construction financing, even if you provide it yourself, will cost you 10% of 1.2 million, but only half of that, and for 14 months divided by 12 per year. So your construction financing will cost you about 70,000 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to do if you were to actually go and borrow the money from some lender, they would charge you probably around a 2% fee, right? Just for doing the damn thing. So it means you'd pay about 24,000 bucks just for the honor of borrowing their money. All right. So we've got our soft costs here. We've got our construction costs here. We've got our financing costs here. I'll put in a subtotal here. Here just for the financing. Okay. Then we've got development charges and building permit. I think the building permit will come in about 1% of your construction costs, something like that, maybe a little bit higher, probably a little higher. And again, you could go on the Ottawa website, you can get yourself a number. So equals 1.2 million times 1.5%. So you probably have to pay about 18 grand for that, for your building permit. So your development charges are the killers, right? Oops. All right. I don't know why that looks weird. There we go. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Try again. Okay, so we've got, I'm going to lower this down again. So we've got total of the above, right? So the total of the above is 94,000 for financing, 1.2 million for construction, and 25,000 for that. And I guess I should move it down again. Oops. Oh, shoot. What did I do? I don't know what I did. Oh, whatever. All right. And we should put in contingencies. What were you going to put, Armin, for contingencies? You know, just things that go wrong.
10%.
You say 10 or 20%?
No, I think 10% is plenty. I'm going to go 9% just to be different. So we'll go equals this times that. Shoot, I have to do it again. So our new total is now this. Then we've got the rest of the stuff that we have. So the grand total, I don't know if this is what you guys got, but it's probably pretty expensive. Okay. And that's equal to this divided by 6, right? Because you got 6 apartments per unit or per door. So if you can bring it in at that price per door, guys, I can tell you right off the top of my head, that's pretty good. That is really good.
We were $300,000 off.
How much were yours?
I thought what killed me was from what I see here are the development charges.
Yeah.
And that's it. The rest of it I calculated pretty accurately. So that's the one that we were off by.
All right. So what were you thinking it would cost per door?
I I didn't I thought development charges was like just $30,000 for the entire project, but
Yeah, I don't think so. All right.
if it's 30,000
No,
a door,
this is not me criticizing you. It's just, thinking that I can tell you, there are people building 30 and 40-story towers that are coming in. Hang on, I'll show you this divided by the total square footage, right? Including the
Mhm.
basement is per square foot, including lower level. All right.
Mhm.
So that is a fantastic number, $284 a square foot. There are people building those towers who are spending, including land and everything else, are spending $650 a square foot.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd much rather build this at
Mm.
$300 a square foot than something that's 30 or 40 stories tall. That's steel and concrete and costs $650. We forgot one item here. Sorry, I have to put it in here. So those are our soft costs, construction costs, subtotal, financing. So I got to insert it here. Insert chiro.
Oh yeah.
Demolition. It's expensive. I'll bet you, I mean, you're going to spend $45,000 disconnecting services and. Okay. So this should, we have to add another 45,000, unfortunately. All right. So it's about 280,000 per door, just under $300 per square foot. That is really good these days, guys, if you could do that. All right. All right.
Okay.
So now let's look at income. All right. So these are 2-bedroom apartments, correct?
Yes.
All right. So above grade apartments. What do you think you can rent them for?
Upstairs for 2,100, basement for 1,900, I would say.
Okay, I'm gonna go 2275 per month. Right, and we've got, how many of those? We got 275 times,
4.
I think, yeah, I got it connected though.
Oh.
So where are my, so we got 4 apartments above grade. Yes, exactly. All right, so equals 4 apartments above grade times 2275. And below grade, what do you think we can rent those for?
1,900.
I think we'll go 1975 just for the hell of it. I think so. I think you probably get a bit more actually, but that's okay for now. Equals this, and we've got just, this is useless. For there, I gotta make sure it's there. Okay, equals this times 2. All right. Right. Per year. And do you remember how much I subtract for operating expenses?
30%.
Normally it's 34%, but because it's a brand new building, I'm going to go 28% because probably at least in the first few years, not much is going to go wrong. So equals minus this times that. And so we've got our net operating income, we think, in this vicinity, right?
Mhm.
So our cap rate is equal to this divided by that. So not bad. So my goal, as you know, is 8%. That's my target these days.
Yeah.
And you're a bit off of it, but it's not horrible. Especially if interest rates do start to go down in the next couple of years. I mean, they're going to stay higher than most people want and for longer, but eventually I think, I mean, if you saw the recent Canada inflation rate, it came in at 2.9%, which was a big surprise on the upside, on the good side, right?
Yeah.
So my target 2 years ago was 6%. My target today is 8 because interest rates are so much higher. But probably within 2 years, you'll see interest rates come down to, maybe from 6 or 7 or 8 to 4 or 5.
Mhm.
And if it's 4 or 5, then a 6.7% cap rate, I think, is okay.
Yeah. And also, I guess it takes a year to construct, right? So
100%. So it's pretty good. It's better than I would have expected. So I quite like it. And knowing you guys, I mean, you're careful, you're young, you'll be involved. If I were doing it, I would pay retail prices for everything, and I would probably end up with spending all of this money. And you guys may find $100,000 in savings. You might.
Yeah.
So let's do something different. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and this won't surprise you guys, I don't think, and it won't surprise Chris either. When I was looking at your plan, one of the things I've talked to Crystal Cozy about is the idea of gigaplexing things. You remember what I mean by gigaplex?
Yeah. So we make Airbnb units in that thingy.
No, gigaplex is like a lock off suite. I'm sure I showed you, at least I think I did.
yeah,
The
like you
10-plex.
lock off.
Did
Yeah.
I show you, Ario, the 10-plex, 6-plex, 10-plex that Brad Cartier and Aaron Markel built this thing?
Yeah, was it the outdoor like staircase one?
No, that was the quadrant.
Oh yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
So this
Okay.
is, maybe I didn't show you this one. Does this look familiar? This is in Rockland. They actually built it.
I don't think we've seen this before.
Okay. So I call this a 6-plex, 10-plex. What the hell is a 6-plex, 10-plex? Well, I'm going to show you. So wonder if I could find, which one is this? No, hang on, that's the basement. And this is the ground floor, and this is the second floor. Okay, I'll do this one. It's pretty complicated. All right. So this is the ground floor here. These are the actual working drawings, I think. So they're a little bit complicated. So here's the garage, okay?
Mhm.
And here is the front door, which are double doors, which I quite like. It's a lot easier to move furniture in and out if you had double doors. So you come in here, here's your living room. Here's your kitchen. There is a bathroom here, and you keep going this way, and you've got a bedroom, and then you've got patio doors, and I guess there's some kind of a deck here. Okay, you got it?
Mhm.
So you come in here, living room, dining room, kitchen, bathroom with a shower, bedroom, balcony. And if you hang a left here, there's a second bedroom over here, okay?
Mhm.
Now, what they did here with the second bedroom is they turned it into its own micro suite. So if you own this and you rented it to me, you could rent it to me as a 2-bedroom apartment, right? Bedroom here, bathroom here, bedroom here, bathroom here, living room, dining room, just an ordinary 2-bedroom. However, it's a little bit different. This bedroom, which is its own micro suite, has a small kitchen here. Obviously, it's a studio apartment with its own bathroom here. And you notice it has its own door to the outside. Can you see that okay, guys?
Yeah.
You're better at this than I am, because when I look at these plans, I still, even though I've looked at them 50 times, I bet. So if you go along the side of the building and you go up these stairs, you can enter into the micro suite, which has a connecting door, right? And also you could come in here and go up to the second floor, down to the lower level, and it has another entrance here. So it actually has 1, 2, 3 entrances to the 2-bedroom apartment. Now, here's how it works. I call this the gigaplex. You can't actually Google the damn thing because I made up the name, but I'm going to sit for a minute. So I stand most of the time, but every once in a while I get tired. So I sit down. So anyway, so this is how it would work. If you did this gigaplex thing, and Brad and Aaron have done that. If you do this gigaplex thing, then you could rent me this apartment. It's in Rockland, so it'd probably rent for about $2,200 or $2,300, similar to what you guys are thinking of. And you could give me permission to run a business out of this second bedroom. Like I could run my coaching practice. Most of my coaching courses are done on Zoom now, but back when it was, people came to visit me more often. I could run my coaching practice here. Or if I was a physiotherapist, I could run my physio practice here. If I was a registered massage therapist, I could do that. Or if I wanted to, I could put this on Airbnb. In other words, you would do a lease as my landlord, giving me permission to run a home-based business here, or to, bring in a roommate if I wanted to, put it on Airbnb if I wanted to, whatever. It's a lock-off suite. So for a senior, for example, a senior might live in this nice 1-bedroom here, and he or she might rent this to a personal support worker, so that the personal support worker could come in and make sure the old fella or the older lady, took her pills or needed any kind of help. So it has a lot of utility. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what they did was they gigaplexed the second floor and, the first floor and the second floor, but not the basement units. The basement units are just regular 2-bedroom apartments, but they gigaplexed this level and the one above, and they got a little bit higher rents as a result. All right. So when I looked at your building, this one on Crystal, I put that little door in there because I think this is a corridor here, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure.
I think that's the basement one. Although
the
it's the
basement?
second floor.
No, it says second floor.
It's because like the stairs from the side go up. So I don't it's just my understanding.
This plan
Yeah.
is basically not correct, just because you see where it says entrance.
Yeah.
There's a wall there, and it's supposed to be mirrored, I think. And so Chris is sending us the new plans to fix that issue there.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. But what I'm getting at, I'll stop sharing for a moment. What I'm getting at is, if you saw what I did there, I mean, assuming that you had an entrance here, you could have an entrance there where you have a corridor. You could do exactly what Brad and Aaron did, and you will attract tenants who, if they're running a little daycare, or they're running a business there, or they're putting it on Airbnb, to make a little bit of extra money. What surprised me, guys, when we did this out in White Rock, BC, did a whole 6-story building like that, is that the young people who these were condos done like this, the young people who bought it weren't staying in the large apartment. They were staying in the micro suite and renting out the other side because they wanted the money.
Yeah. Well.
So all that to say, let's go back to our spreadsheet. And we'll version this, all right? So I'm gonna save it again. And I'll save it as a gigaplex. And if you talk to Chris Chalcozy about this, he will absolutely know what I'm talking about. So this will be case 2, and it's the gigaplex. You should at least talk to him about it, because I think it will change your ROI a little bit. So let's give this a color. All right. And maybe what we'll end up with in terms of rent is maybe what we'll do is we'll add a 25% percentage rent for you guys. And let's assume for the moment that somebody puts this on Airbnb, you know, and you got to remember, this is consistent with the City of Ottawa's rules now. Like, you are not allowed to just buy a house and put it on Airbnb anymore, even unless you live there, right?
Yeah.
But if I live there and I have your permission as my landlord to put my micro suite on Airbnb, that's perfectly legal.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say we get 20 days a month. And what can you get for a micro suite on Airbnb per day? Could you get $125 a day?
Probably 100, 125, I think is.
Well, let's put $115 per day. Okay. So you're getting, in terms of yeah, and you understand what a percentage rent is, right? I'm putting it on Airbnb. I'm doing all the work. But you're getting 25% of my revenues. All right. So your share of that would be 25% times 20 days a month times 115. So that's what you would get, a little bit extra, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give you some ideas on how to push up your cap rate a little bit. And there would be some additional costs too, because you got some more doors that you have to put in. But let's just go with that for now. And we're going to assume that's only for the upper units. The below grade, no gigaplexing, okay?
Okay.
That's what Aaron and Brad did. And I think it probably was smart. So it means that you get $575 extra a month times 4. Yeah. See if that came out right. See, now you're almost at 8%.
Yeah.
Right. So this is, I'm just highlighting what has changed, right? So these are the changes I made in this case. So, and if you look at it from the point of view of your tenant, let's look at it from the point of view of your tenant. What does it look like for your tenant? Okay. What do you think it looks like for your tenant, like me? How much am I making? I am making, for 20 days, $115 times 1 minus 25%. In other words, I'm making 75%. So what am I making? I am making $1,725 per month for myself. So my effective rent, tenant, so what is my effective rent? It's equal to this minus that. So I'm paying $550 per month for my apartment, which is pretty damn good. So if you advertised a 2-bedroom apartment in downtown Ottawa or close to downtown Ottawa for 500, effective rate would be 550. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You don't sound convinced, Armin.
I don't. It's because I have an Airbnb and it's a little. I don't know if the tenants because especially their students, I feel like they'll be scared to take up this task to go ahead with it, You'll
Maybe
need
so.
somebody entrepreneurial
Yeah,
that's
yeah, for
willing
sure you do, yeah.
to take the risk.
All right,
Yeah.
well, let's do another case. Let's do another case. We'll call this one case 3. And this one will be the gigaplex daycare, just for the hell of it, okay?
Mm.
All right, so I'll give it a different color. We'll go with green. All right, so now instead of being on Airbnb, we're gonna have a daycare. We're just making it simple, okay? And we're allowed, in Ontario, you're allowed 5 children. Children.
5
And
children per person working, or?
yeah, so if I was, say I was a young mom and I had 1 kid, I'm allowed to have 5 kids in my little daycare, which would be in the micro suite. So be mine plus 4 more. If I'm just a single lady or a guy for that matter, you know. So what you're ending up with is, you know, you've got about 20 days a month. And it's about $1,200 a month, I think. Maybe it's a little higher than that, divided by 20. So you're getting about, I don't know, $60 per day for that. $60 per day. All right. So yeah, that sounds about right, times 20 days. So that doesn't really do very much for you guys. You get about, that can't be right. 25% times 5 kids times 60. Okay, 75, and this is should be times 4, I think. I might be screwing this up, guys. You can check
No
it.
worries.
All right, so you're making a few bucks. Yeah, I think that looks about right. And your tenant, that can't be right, is I've definitely screwed this up.
Oh, I guess remove the. Oh no, it's right.
So I'm making, I don't know. I think I did screw it up. Yeah, I did. It's always easier, you know, guys, to work from first principles than it is to, you know, to do this. And I think I just missed this. Sorry it's taking so long, guys.
No worries.
All right, I'm going to just check it again. So how much are we making? Equals 25% times 5 kids times 60 times 20 days times 4 above grade units. That makes more sense. Yeah, no, shit, I don't know if this is right.
I didn't know you could do daycares at your residence, I guess.
So if you think about it, if I have 5, I got to make sure I did this right. If I have 5 kids and I'm
Yeah.
making 5 kids and I'm making $60 a day times 20 days, how does that not work?
Let's see here.
It's equal to that times that, right? Plus this. Still not right. So 25%. Wow. Times 5 kids, times 60 for 20 days, times 4. Let me just check this. Equals 5 kids times $60 a day times 20 times the 4. That's your total revenue. Yeah. So you guys, if you went with four people who were doing daycares, you'd make an extra $6,000. Wow. That would change your cap rate a hell of a lot.
And I guess it's not just daycares, right? Maybe you can do like physio
Oh yeah,
as well.
physio, any number of things, exactly.
So there's a couple options. Okay.
Hairdresser.
Hairdresser, oh, that's a good one.
Oh, I guess, yeah, that could be. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird. And your tenants will be living for how much then? I don't know.
But I guess, do we need to do request a permission to have a home-based business on that, like micro suites?
No. I mean, for Brad and Aaron, you got to understand with the gigaplex, the lock-off suite, they don't pay an extra development charge. They don't pay extra on their building permit. Home-based businesses are legal. Again, you can't lease those micro suites for somebody who comes from outside the building to do a physiotherapy practice or registered massage practice or daycare. But if I live there, I can put it on Airbnb. I can be the hairdresser. I can be the registered massage therapist. I can be the daycare operator.
Okay.
Wow. So I don't know what this is. Whatever. So the tenant effective rent, I don't know even if I need this. I think
Do we share the revenue with the business owner, or do we just charge them rent for it?
You could do either one. I have done percentage rent, but you're welcome to just say an extra $500 a month or an extra $1,000 a month. If it was something like a daycare or a hairdresser, you might go with percentage rent because it makes a huge difference to your cap rate. But anyway, it would be up to you guys. I don't think this is relevant here. So let's just figure out for the hell of it one more thing, and then we can move on and do other stuff because there's other things on your agenda. So your effective rent for a tenant is, these are the total billings here. I'll just move it over here so I don't forget. That's 24,000. So it's equal to, and we got 4 of them. So we got this divided by 4. And you're giving how much to, you're giving $1,500. So this is equal to that times 1 minus, I think I got it this time, guys. So your tenant is getting $4,500 a month for running her daycare. And by the way, my youngest son's hairdresser runs exactly this kind of a business. And she bills between $10,000 and $11,000 a month for her one chair hairdressing. Wow. Like it's people are making real money in trades these days. So your tenant's effective rent is negative, right? You understand what that means, right?
Yeah, she's making money from the place.
She's making money. Yeah. So if you're running if you're a single mom and you got 1 kid and you bring in 4 others, you're going to be living in your own apartment for a negative amount of money.
It's like a mixed use unit.
Say it again.
It's like a mixed use unit.
It is a mixed use, and Armin, home-based businesses are legal. So we'll call this could be hairdresser. It could be RMT. Could be, oh shoot, RMT. Could be a physio. What are some of the other uses?
Hairdresser, RMT, physio.
Yeah, I got physio there.
Oh,
What about
chiro.
a masseuse?
Chiropractor. Masseuse is a registered massage therapist.
Yeah, can they not have
RMT
people come to their place?
could be the same. What other kinds of, small businesses could there be in there?
Um, Nothing else comes to mind.
Legal, bookkeeping,
Yeah.
any others, well, there's probably a million that we're not thinking of right now.
Mm.
Okay, all right, that's enough. So look, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you design it so that you've got a lock-off suite, it means you guys are young, for the next 50 years, that building has more options for a very small additional cost, a few extra doors, right?
Yeah.
That's probably some additional costs that I'm not thinking about right now.
Mhm.
For a relatively small additional cost, it'll give you tremendous flexibility in leasing over the next 50 years.
Okay.
All right. In my opinion, you almost can't go wrong with a micro suite. It's sometimes called a lock-off suite. All right. I'll send you that. All right. Ario. I only have one Ario in my address book, Ario, but I have quite a few Armins.
I only know one Armin.
All right. Okay, I'm just gonna send you these spreadsheets. How many did we do? Did we do 3?
3 cases, yeah.
Yeah, I think we did, yeah. All right, so where do you want to go next, guys?
Finding builders. That's something we talked about last time, but
Yeah.
we weren't really clear about it because you mentioned that we should look for, I guess, like look online, of course, but also I don't know, like signs and all that. But we're looking for, I guess, somebody that can actually deliver on a 6-unit project.
Right. So, yeah, so I'm just gonna send you the design drawings slightly. I'm just gonna send you the design drawing. You know how I did that? I added the one door.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you that so that you have it, okay? And you can talk to Chris about it because he will know what I'm talking about.
Who's your go-to planner besides Chris?
Well, probably Paul Robinson.
Mhm.
Oh, shoot. I just closed a bunch of stuff. Hang on. I've already done that. I had a bunch of stuff open I wanted to go over with you guys, and then I screwed it up. All right, I've sent you the design drawing. So, have I ever introduced you to Aaron Markel?
Aaron Marco, no.
So, Aaron and I did a course called Buildup.
Mhm.
And I'd like you guys to actually audit that course. It's all on YouTube. And I'll just show you, Aaron is a master builder.
Okay.
He is an amazing, absolutely amazing builder. And it's called Buildup. It's a YouTube course. All the links, like so many of mine, are unlisted and confidential.
Mhm.
So we gave this course, I think it has 10 or 11, maybe 12 lectures. And it was much more oriented towards actual construction.
Yeah.
So Aaron and I co-taught it. And I'd really like, I mean, you're young guys, you're going to be at this for a long time. It's hours of work for you. It's included in my coaching, so don't worry about that. But I would like you to watch the whatever 10 lectures.
Okay.
All right. And what we're dealing with is, you know, things like what are the 10 biggest mistakes pretty much everybody who gets into this industry make when they're hiring a contractor. Well, you want a contractor who has a great reputation. Obviously, you're going to have a great planner. And I think Chris is a good planner. Paul Robinson is an excellent planner. And Jasmine Paoloni, a young woman, is in her 30s, and she's an excellent planner too. So if you were unhappy for some reason with Chris, there's other people out there that you can turn to. What we generally don't do as small builders or developers is we don't go to the giant planning firms because they will not give you the level of attention that you want.
Yeah.
The huge builders in Ottawa like Minto and Mattamy and Caven and Cardell and Richcraft and Claridge, they will be paying Novatech, for example, as a major engineering and planning firm. They'll be paying them a few $1 million a year. You might be paying them $10,000 a year. So who are they going to pay attention to, right? So you have to go, in my opinion, to a private planner.
Okay.
Obviously, you want to have a realistic budget, which I think we do now. You want to make sure, look at this factors such as soil conditions, servicing, et cetera, are taken into account right up front so you don't get any surprises. You want to make sure you're consistent with building codes. You want to choose the right materials. You know, for a rental apartment, you don't want an $80,000 Euro kitchen. You want a $6,000 or $8,000 kitchen, not a $80,000 kitchen. You want to have great communication with your builder. Energy efficiency is more important than it has ever been before. Don't over customize your units and certainly don't over improve them when it comes to rental construction, and be realistic in terms of your time. Like we allowed 14 months for construction. You could probably do this in a year, like you said, Armin. All right. So, so here, I'll send you this workbook after we finish. There are, let's see how many lectures. There was an introductory webinar, which I think you should watch. And then there was lecture 1, and we had lots of guests. So for example, in lecture 2, we had a modular builder, if you know what modular is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a modular builder.
Oh, Modulink is I think Chris is working with Aaron.
I think that's right. I think he is actually. I think you're right.
Because Modulink is Chris.
Yeah, I think that's Modulink is something that Aaron's involved in too. So this is like a nice group here. How to grow an unbeatable and sustainable real estate portfolio. We had David Warren. He's like a fantastic mortgage broker. Then we had Brad Karche, who's Aaron's partner, join us to talk about the work that they're doing, including that 6-plex, 10-plex. And then we had Chris Hicks and Nick Cripps, and they were talking about financing. Then we had another banker, BDC banker, Amelia Campbell. She's really fantastic. Then we had a guy from Rethink and Diversify, which are, they raise money for large projects. And so you certainly will get introduced to Jason Park. He's their CEO. I'm not sure what lecture 8 was. Then there was a project that Aaron presented, which was Hammond Hill and the Bourget train station. So it looks like there were 9 lectures in total. All right. And we also had, this was really great. We also had Rebecca Simon come. She's an appraiser, because as you know, once this thing is finished, if you did get a 6 or 7 or even an 8% cap rate, the market cap rate is still about 5.5%. So your completed value of the project would be quite a bit higher than your cost, right? Which is good. If you ever wanted to finance it, you could certainly finance it, probably take out all your cash. All right. So I will send you that, and if you don't mind, you should do the 9 or 10 videos. It's about 90 minutes each.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of finding a contractor, if I had your permission, I would introduce you to Aaron. Aaron is also a coach, but he's a construction coach as opposed to me. I'm a development coach. It's different, right?
Okay.
And I think you should reach out to Aaron and ask him to help you find the right builder.
Okay.
And let's just take a moment and do that together.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that right now. Hang on.
Is Matthew your son, by the way, or?
Yes, he
Matthew?
is.
Yeah, okay. He reached
What?
out to me for one of his projects appraisals, I believe. Or not to me, but to us, to the firm.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt's my youngest son. He's in his 30s now.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I'll share my screen with you. It's such a small world, eh? I mean, Ottawa's not a very big place.
Yeah. Rebecca Simone. Okay.
Is it okay if I mention it's 692 Crystal?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're getting in a stage where we would, if I have Aaron's guidance, then we, I don't know if we should get a builder.
Well, I mean, since he builds 6-plex, 10-plexes, he actually builds them himself.
Yeah.
If he was interested, if he had the bandwidth and the time, if you could get him to actually be your general contractor, that would be a home run.
Okay.
But if he doesn't have time to do it himself, he can help you find somebody who's really good.
Okay.
Like when I do most of my own projects, I'm the general contractor for most of my own projects. You know, I've done so much development management work. I probably can do a decent job, maybe not excellent because I'm so busy coaching. I maybe should spend more time on my own projects than I do. But nevertheless, I can do that myself. But for you guys, I think having a general contractor out of the gate, somebody like Aaron Markel or somebody he recommends. And by the way, when he recommends trades and subtrades, they're all really good.
Okay.
Like we just had to do some spray foam insulation on a couple of our buildings. You know what spray foam insulation is, right?
Yeah.
And I reached out to Aaron and he mentioned a couple of names, no problem. Then we had a plumber quit on us just because he was having some, I think, some marital problems and he just couldn't work for a while. I don't know what happened to him. You know, I reached out to Aaron. Aaron, I need help on a project. I need a plumber, a really good one. And he sent me somebody who did a great job. So in terms of finding trades, sub-trades, maybe Aaron will do the GC work, maybe he won't, but finding a GC. But also the other thing that Aaron can help you with is getting materials. Like we buy, you know, for some of our projects, we have, we need composting toilets. We buy them through Aaron. Aaron's a distributor of Cinderella toilets. Do you know what a Cinderella toilet is? Do you know what a composting toilet is?
I'm guessing something that when you crap, it gets composted.
Exactly. Instead of, you know, where you have a rural property and you don't have a septic system, right? You put a composting toilet in your building. And he's a distributor for Cinderella toilets. When he first told me he had a line of composting toilets, because I have some rural properties where I need them. I thought it was a Cinderella toilet because it was made for a princess, right?
Yeah.
But that's not why they call them Cinderella toilets. They call them Cinderella toilets because they turn poop. They actually burn it. So they turn it into cinders.
Wow.
So it's called Cinderella, and they're fantastic toilets. So you poop and it goes into a compartment and it's turned into ash. And you only have to clean out the toilet, you know, once every few months, and it's just ash, right? And it doesn't smell. So they're really good. They're not cheap either. They're $6,000 or $7,000 as opposed to you can get them for $1,500 to $2,000. But these are the best of the best. And so he can help you with trades, sub-trades, and also your materials.
Okay, that'd be amazing.
They recently purchased a property at, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
At 1692 Crystal, and are now working with Chris. See, on a 6-plex design. They might even do what you and Brad Archie did. Okay, Armin and Ario, two young people I coach. They recently purchased a property at 692 Crystal Street. They're now working with Crystal on a 6-plex design. They might even do what you and Brad Archie did, i.e. 6-plex, 10-plex. I'm not committing you to that. I'm just saying you might.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. They are also going to audit the Buildup course you and I did together. All that to say, they are looking for some coaching, getting the right team together. GC, trades, sub-trades, engineers, etc. So Matthew reached out to you guys.
Yeah, he was working on a project, I believe, and he wanted an appraisal done. We just couldn't do it just because I guess I was the one that was going to do it, but then I just said I mean, I'm working with your dad, so it might not be a good idea.
That is too funny.
Yeah.
P.S. They are well capitalized. I'll just say that so he knows that you're not, you know what you're doing. All right. Is that okay, guys?
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
I think, and Aaron's in his 40s, so he's a lot younger than me, and you'll really like him. All right.
How do builders charge, generally speaking? Is it like a project management fee, or do they charge on
That
materials?
is a great question. We're going to come back to that. All right, I'm just going to send you this before I forget. All right, so don't share it with anybody else. But if you have time, you'll like the guests. You'll like Aaron. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the course. All right. So
that's amazing. Thank you
guys
so much.
and you do it at your own time. On your own.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's that. All right. So let me explain how, when I'm doing a project like this, how I organize most of these projects, or how most of my clients do.
Mm-hmm.
With a general contractor, I prefer to have a fixed fee.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
For example, one of my clients is building a swim school. If you know what that is, it's just a school where they teach kids how to swim.
Swim, yeah.
It's about $2.5 to $3 million build, so it's not cheap.
Yeah.
And she's fantastically successful. And so what she did was she hired a commercial general contractor, and she followed this process. She got a fixed fee from the general contractor. So for a $2.5 million project, the fee came in about 8 to 10%. So it's probably about $250,000.
Okay.
Okay. This particular contractor, they've done one swim school already together. They are fantastic. They were fantastic, but they're commercial guys. They don't build 6-plexes. But they're fantastic. They're worth their weight in gold, in my opinion. and they bring projects in on time and on budget.
Yeah.
What you don't want is you don't want to hire an architect or a general contractor on a percentage, because it then gives them the incentive to make the costs higher.
Mhm.
So if you promised a contractor 8 or 10%, and the project we think is going to be 1.6 million, and it turns out to be 2 million, well, the contractor makes more money and you're the loser.
Right.
So with architects, with engineers, with general contractors, we're looking for a fixed price contract. And what that means is that eventually all of these people are sitting on the same side of the table as you. So you, on one side of the table is Armin and Ario, your general contractor, your architect, your engineers, your coach, your project manager, if you have one. And by the way, and Matthew is a very good project manager. He is.
Yeah.
No, he's a hell of a lot better than me. He's a complete pain in the ass because he's so thorough. I mean, complete pain in the ass, but he's very, very good.
Yeah.
So all of these people, if you can sort of see it in your mind's eye, are sitting on the same side of the table, and they have every incentive then to bring the project in on time and on budget, because the longer it takes, the more manpower they will have to expend, more time, and so they're on the same side, they're on the same wavelength as you guys.
Yeah.
Who sits on the other side of the table?
The trades, I guess.
Exactly. The trades and the subtrades.
Hmm.
So what you want to do is you want to work with Chris Jelkozy, if that's your final decision, your engineers, your contractor. They're all, you pick these guys right now. You don't wait. Your surveyor, all of these people, they're all on fixed price contracts. They're all sitting on the same side of the table as you. And then you do the drawings and the working drawings. So first, obviously, a concept drawing, and then your working drawings, and then you ship it out with the help of your general contractor. He or she, they will do it. If it's Aaron, he will do it. He'll ship it out to his trades, and he'll get you probably 3 prices for each trade.
Mhm.
And there's about 25 trades involved in building a residential building.
Yeah.
Right? Everything from kitchen cabinets, plumbing fixtures, footing and foundation, backfill, excavation, servicing, roofing, I mean, framing, you name it. So you've got about 25 trades, maybe even some of the more difficult builds, 30 trades, but lots of them. And he'll get you probably 3 quotes. And the trades sometimes have sub-trades. So let's say, for example, you're putting in a fire escape, it's steel, there'll be a steel fabricator who is a sub-trade.
Mhm.
And the sub-trade will not only have the architect's working drawings, the sub-trade will do shop drawings.
Okay. Yeah.
And at the end of the project, you're going to have a set of working drawings.
Mhm.
You're going to have a set of shop drawings, and you're going to have another set of working drawings and shop drawings that are called as-builts.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of as-builts?
No.
Well, if you spend the time on the course, you'll know more about it. But every project that's ever been done in real estate, guys, every single project, there are changes that are made.
Okay.
And one of the ways that you can avoid cost overruns and delay is to have as few change orders as possible. There should be no changes on the project without you, Armin, and you, Ario, signing off on the change order. So if the fire escape is supposed to go on this side, and middle of the project you decide we're going to put it on this side, I mean, the level of complication goes up. I mean, everything goes wrong. Like your working drawings are wrong, your shop drawings have to be changed. There's all kinds of costs and delay that's involved. So spending time and effort making sure your plans, your initial plans are really good, and your shop drawings and your work drawings are really good. So the number of change orders might be 3 or 4 in a project like this, as opposed to 30.
Yeah.
Right? If you had 30 change orders, instead of taking 12 months, it would probably take 18 months. Instead of costing 1.6 million, it'd be probably 2 million. So
Okay.
that's something you have to really, really, and like I love my wife, but we'll be in the middle of a project. She'll come up with an idea. She said, "Wouldn't it be great if?" And as soon as she says, "Wouldn't it be great if?" I stop her and say, "No,
Maybe next time.
no, we're not changing anything. I mean, you have to make some changes. I mean, just some things just don't work in the field that you thought would be fine in the office. That happens. but I'm hoping you'll have 3 or 4 changes in the project, not 30. Now, every time there's a change, you have to insist, and your general contractor has to insist, whether it's an engineering change, a trade or subtrade, that they amend the working drawings and the shop drawings to reflect those changes. They usually do it in red pen. And so at the end of the day, you'll have as-builts, which means that your working drawings will have been amended in red to show what was actually done. And that's really, really important. And then the other thing that you guys should do, and I mentioned Ario, you might end up doing this, is you want to make sure that you have a digital copy of everything, right? So paper copies are nice, but you guys, as I said many times, you're so young. The next 50 years, you could do 50 projects. I mean, just pulling a number out of the air. And if you had paper, it would fill up, this office and a couple more, right? So you can digitize it, and you can, on something this size, you can have 6 terabytes of data, right? And having everything, including your as-built plans, digitized is really important. Even if it's just taking a picture with your phone, hopefully you'll have much better quality than that, right? So you can, because if you ever have to renovate or change that building, you want to build it, you want to base your changes and renovations on the as-builts, not the working drawings, because they're different. All right. Okay. So I think that is pretty good. I just want to go through a couple of other things.
Oh yeah, the builders, how do they charge? Do they like charge? You mentioned you like project based better, but then how is there another way of doing it, or?
No, I think for most projects that I work on, a GC will estimate how much time and manpower of his own will go into the project, and he'll say, look, like this, her name is Rebecca, what she's doing with her swim school. They said, look, this is $250,000 will take the project from beginning to end.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and you don't pay $250,000 up front, right? They asked for 50% up front, $125,000 to get going. And I said, on behalf of Rebecca, no, we'll give you, she'll give you $60,000 on account just to get you mobilized and going. And then there'll be progress payments, because if you pay your contractor too much in advance, and they'll lose interest in your project pretty quickly.
Yeah, I
see. So you have to keep some money back, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And are you familiar with what happens if you get into a dispute with a contractor or trade or subtrade?
I believe there was a person called the no, I don't know, I forgot. Thought it was something like an ombudsman or something like that.
Ombudsman, yeah. But contractors and trades and subtrades have a nuclear weapon. They have a button they can push which blows up your project. It's called a lien.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Ario, do you know what a lien is?
I know tax liens. I'm not sure if they're the same.
Say that again.
I know tax liens, but I'm not sure if that's the same.
Tax lien is a lien. So I just want to make sure you guys understand, and we're recording it, so it'll be on record. So the number one thing when you're looking for an architect, a planner, a general contractor, a trade or subtrade, number one thing is trust, right? It's the number one thing in life, right? Trust. Do you trust your brother? Do you trust your girlfriend, your wife, whatever? It's the number one thing. And if you don't have trust, you're in real trouble. And I'll tell you why. Let's say you do have a bad trade, and they say, well, we did quote on this job $50,000, but we did extra work. Now it's going to be $80,000. You say, well, the hell with that. We've got your quote. There were 3 quotes. You were the low bid. Oh, no, but they always have an excuse, right? But you made changes. It's all your fault. You owe me an extra $30,000. You say, we'll pay you the $50,000. That's in our contract. That's all you get. The contractor, without telling you then, can lien your property. It's a registered lien. He can, it doesn't cost very much. I think you can hire a lawyer or a paralegal to do it, for a couple $100. they could lien your property, Ario, for $30,000 of unpaid services. It might be total BS, but they can lien your property. Now, if they lien your property, that takes precedence over almost anything else. For example, if you were getting a construction mortgage from a third party, and you go for an advance. So let's say you had $1.6 million loan, just to make it pulling 1.2 million, I think is what we were looking at, and it was in, say, 4 draws. So it would be $300,000 a draw. And say you had 2 draws, so you've drawn $600,000 of that money, and you're paying everybody as you go. This guy comes along and he liens the project for $30,000. Your lender will do, his lawyer will do a sub search and find a lien on title and won't advance the last 2 advances. Do you understand that? Until the lien is dealt with, it's like poison, right? It's like poisoning the well.
Yeah.
So now the contractor can just sit there and say, well, you owe me 30 grand and I'm not removing the lien until I get my 30 grand. And so you could pay him the 30,000, he removes the lien, and then you could sue him in small claims court, because small claims court will go up to $35,000. But you have to deal with the lien before you really can move forward with the project.
Wow.
It really have you over the barrel. And I think they have to do that. It used to be, I think, within 45 days, maybe it's 60 days now, they can lien a project. And I'll tell you what happened to one of my clients, a young woman. I didn't know her real well. I knew her parents. And unfortunately, both of her parents, her mom and dad, died within a few months of each other. I think of a broken heart, really. And she decided to renovate the building because there had been a fire. Because the property where they had lived, it was a rural area, it was empty, vacant. And, you know, I think some teenagers broke in and started a fire. So there was some fire damage. Without talking to me, she decided to hire a contractor and renovate the place. She knew nothing about construction, nothing about renovation, but she authorized this guy to spend $35,000 cleaning up the fire damage, right? So she could put it up for sale. I get a call from her, like she's in tears, right? Saying that she now has a $135,000 lien on the property by this contractor that she hired, who was literally a swindler.
Wow.
So he put $135,000 for $35,000 worth of work, which he was contracted for. He put $135,000 lien on the property. And I call up this guy and said, "Oh, well, she had me doing all kinds of extra work." And I said, I don't think so. You had an agreement with her for $35,000. Why is it $135,000? And in fact, she had paid him the $35,000. Well, 2 weeks later, he puts an offer in on the house. This was a beautiful house in the rural area with 11 acres of land, which back then was worth about $650,000. Today it'd be worth much more.
Yeah.
He put in an offer of $350,000, virtually half, almost half price.
Wow.
So he was actually, Ario and Armin, he was actually basically blackmailing her.
Yeah.
And so she didn't want to put up with that, and she certainly wasn't going to sell the house for half price. So thank goodness she had resources, which she had inherited from her parents. So what she did is, you're allowed to remove a lien by paying money into court. Armin, have you ever done that?
No.
Okay, so you could pay he claimed $135,000, and you have to add another 25%. So she had to pay into court in cash, $135,000 plus 25%. So it's close to 200 grand. She had the cash, put it in the court, removed the lien. We sold the building. A couple of realtors who worked for me sold it for $650,000. So there's no mortgage against it. So she had some cash coming in. And then we tore this guy apart. We hired the worst, most miserable litigator you could imagine. I mean, he's a miserable human being, but is he ever a good litigator? And he just tore into this guy, and he just made, he just cut him into pieces. And the case was actually dismissed, with prejudice, which means this young woman could go after him for her costs. And I told her not to do that because it just would extend her pain, right? But she got her money out of the court, and she got a judgment against this guy as well for costs, but she didn't exercise the judgment. I mean, to chase after this guy for her costs, which were probably about $20,000, would have been a waste of time, in my opinion.
Mm.
So, what's the number one thing in life, Ario?
Trust.
Trust.
Trust. Okay, what else do you guys want to go over?
That's it pretty much. I think once we learn more about construction, then we can probably figure it out. But for now, we'll touch base with Aaron and also look at our financials again.
Sure. So there are a couple other things I'm going to send you. I booted them up before we started. I'm sorry to bog you down with all the reading, but because you're young guys and you're super, super smart, I want you to read lots of this stuff. So here are some things I wrote some time ago now. Things to ask your contractor or renovator before you sign. All right. So there's about 20 or more questions that I typically, if I'm dealing with a new contractor, I will ask them. All right. Everything from expected completion date to what are the progress payments. Remember, I just talked about that with Rebecca's contractor on the swim spa. We literally went through these questions. So I'll send you that. You just read them and it'll help you when you are interviewing. For somebody like Aaron, you can ask him these questions. And if you recommend somebody, you can ask them. You don't have to ask all 20 questions, but you want to get a feeling for a person, right? So I'm going to send you that so you have it. I sent you the Buildup course already. I want a couple other things here. And this is something I'll send you. It's very short. I think it's only like 1 page or something like that, a couple of pages. And it just reinforces for you why you need both your contractor and architect on the same side of the table as yourself. It's because then you have common interest and they have your best interest at heart, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why you want a fixed fee. I'll send you that just to reinforce what we said today. And here was the last one. This I think we've already dealt with largely. Even if Aaron recommends somebody, you want to make sure that you look at their credentials, just to be, and you want to talk to them, so you want to interview them, you want to check their references. Usually that means you want to talk to other, other people who've dealt with them, other clients, right? Yeah. You want to check their online reviews, which you can certainly do these days. If there are any licenses necessary, you want to make sure that they have that and they have insurance, because things can go wrong in construction. Yeah. And you want to make sure that they have a plan, so that if you are hiring, whether it's an architect or a general contractor, the trade or subtrade, it isn't always the lowest price, guys, and I'll send you all this stuff afterwards. It isn't always the lowest price. It's people who can deliver on time and on budget, even if the budget's a little bit higher, but the quality is there. For example, on some residential projects that are quite complicated, I actually hire a union plumber. It's a union plumber. They charge union rates, so they're much more expensive than a non-union guy. Like a non-union plumber might charge $45 to $65 to $75 an hour. A union guy will be over $100 an hour. But the plumbers I deal with on more complicated residential projects, the commercial guys, they are really good. They're unionized and they're expensive. And they have lots of rules. Like, for example, the summer they don't work on Fridays. They don't. But they're very, very good. So they're not the cheapest. But when it comes to things like plumbing, you want it to work, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So, even if Aaron recommends somebody or I recommend somebody, you still want to make sure that you're comfortable with them and you've checked their bona fides.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've killed it today, guys.
Perfect. Beauty. Awesome.
Anything else?
Yeah, you mentioned 2 designer names. I just want to keep them on my Rolodex if possible. Okay. You mentioned a gentleman and a lady that was in her 30s.
Yeah. So planner, Paul Robinson is a planner. He's probably now 50. And he works very closely with Jasmine Paoloni. So Paul Robinson, just the way it sounds, and Jasmine, and her last name is Paoloni, Paoloni. Eaolini. She's fantastic.
Okay, Planner Ottawa.
And if you want introductions to anybody, just let me know. I'll do
Perfect.
No.
Awesome.
In terms of designers, there's another young guy that at some point you probably should meet. His name is Dustin, Dustin, and last name is Poole with an E at the end, Poole. He's the guy who did the 6-plex, 10-plex, right?
The Giga project.
Beg your pardon?
The Giga project.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm sure Aaron won't mind. I am going to share that plan with you because you're going to see it anyway in the build-up course. All right.
Okay.
So hang on a second. I'm going to send that to Aaron
Dustin.
and Armin.
He works in our office, I believe.
Who does?
Dustin.
He's a wonderful young man. I coached him, and he's an architectural technologist, and he's really, really, really good. All right, so I sent you that the 6-plex, 10-plex plan that was done by Dustin Poole, and the level of detail is good, and the cost came in about very similar, I think, to where you're at. I think construction costs were about 2 million. No, not 2 million. We're about 1.5 to 1.6. I think it was almost identical to where you guys were at with our budget today.
Okay. Wow.
All right.
Nice.
So listen, I want you to give me a mid-month report. Don't go away and I don't hear from you for a month. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
I keep bugging you about that, but you got to plug me in because I know you guys are doing stuff. But I want to feel like I'm plugged in. Okay.
Well, would you recommend us going after other projects as well, or shall we just finish this one first and then go after more projects?
I think what you should do is you should focus on this project.
Okay.
Having said that, I think you should be looking for your next project. And the reason for that, Armin, and I'm glad you brought that up, is a big part of success in our business is buying smart.
Okay.
You make money in real estate when you buy, not when you sell. Like if you overpay for something, it's really hard in the real estate industry to catch up.
Right. Okay.
And I can tell you, because we did the spreadsheet, that you did a really, really good deal, in my opinion, on that on 692 Crystal.
Okay.
Really good. That's a bargain. And to put 6 units on that site that you bought for, was it 450?
490.
490.
490. Fantastic. That is a really good job in Ottawa today. So I think you should be looking for your next project. And the reason for that is there's a thing that human beings do really well, which is called pattern recognition. So if you look at, say, in the next 3 months, you look at, say, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 possible projects. Even if you don't actually buy any of them, if you don't invest in any of them, you are doing all the things that we just did today to evaluate 692. You're looking at what would the concept plan be here?
Yeah.
What can we do to animate it? What the spreadsheet look like if we did buy it? Once you've done, 20 of these and 30 of these or 100 of them, in my case, maybe a few thousand, you can, I can look at a project sometimes without doing any of that analysis, and I know pretty much whether it'll work or not. And that's called pattern recognition. That's how great players play chess, right? People say they think 6 or 8 moves ahead. They absolutely do not. Nobody can think 6 or 8 moves ahead. Once you get past 2 or 3 moves, I think the numbers just get astronomical.
Yeah.
What they do is they play chess and they recognize the patterns. So I don't know if you guys play chess, but my father was was a chess master, a grandmaster. And I probably played him 500 times. I think I got 1 draw. Right? I was a mediocre chess player, but he was outstanding. And so it's very important to train yourself. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
I'll see you guys.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.